In New Zealand, we are blessed with many iconic target species. Perhaps most infamous is the yellow-tailed kingfish. These large, predatory fish are found all over the world in temperate waters. In our ocean, these fish regularly grow larger than any other overseas population. Kingfish can be found year-round, but are most prolific in the summer months, following warm ocean currents. The goal today is to shoot one, but not any kingfish will do. We'll let these ones swim. In New Zealand, we have two distinct species of crayfish. The southern rock lobster, also known as the red crayfish, and the eastern rock lobster, also known as the packhorse crayfish. This is the latter, what I commonly refer to as a packhorse rock lobster. This one is far too big for me to eat, so I have other ideas. Alright, catch you later, lobster. Say hi to Craig for me. These docile fish are called blue moki, also affectionately referred to as Labradors of the ocean. Weedline diving is my favourite. I love diving down, getting down, laying flat on the bottom and letting the fish come to me. Acting a part of the environment, not trying to be too intrusive. Weedlines also hold a huge variety of fish. As you can see here, we're dealing with tons of different species. Everything from terraki, trevally, pigfish, spotted wrasse, it's all going on here. While this dive had an amazing amount of fish, I didn't see anything that I was really stoked on, so I didn't pull the trigger. Coheru are an excellent indicator species for kingfish. I'm sure we'll run into some later. Eventually, the strong north current pushed us off the back of the reef and we're in some deep, murky water. I took a dive pretty deep down and came across a few pigfish. I do the failed strategy of swimming towards them, take a long shot and miss.
Cold, real cold once you get past that viz, eh?
We get back in the boat, motor up current, and anchor on the spot. Fighting the current to stay in one place makes getting a good breathe up very difficult. That, combined with diving deep and laying on the bottom waiting for fish to come in, means that we're doing some diligent buddy diving. Checking on each other, making sure that everything's going to plan. Luke comes up with a brilliant terraki in tow. These fish are always a trophy here in the North Island. As the day drew on and the sun started going down, we found where the north current was heading. We found the pressure point and we found the kingfish. Almost every dive we were running into them. As well as that, huge schools of coheru, huge schools of kawai, many target species in this area. With so many fish in one area, you need to consider the opportunity cost of pulling the trigger. If you pull the trigger on a marginal fish and have something great swimming after, you've lost that opportunity because you rushed it. As soon as I laid my eyes on this coheru, I knew that I wanted it. I took a good shot, hitting the fish well. Coheru have extremely soft flesh. This is why they make excellent sashimi, but oftentimes you have to play them. Even if I get a good shot on a coheru, I'm still going to play it as much as I can just to make sure it doesn't rip out. In regards to fighting power, coheru pack a punch for their size. Little sashimi bullets, they can vibrate their tails at such a frequency you wouldn't believe. Oftentimes when I shoot a smaller fish, I'll leave it dispatched on the end of my gun. While this obscures aiming, making it more difficult to actually hit fish, it has the bonus of being able to attract some species. Coheru are commonly predated on by kingfish. This one came in presumably to check it out, but what I was interested in was this John Dory that I'd seen from the surface. I go down, start lining up, waiting for him to turn broadside here. He starts making his way up the kelp, and just as I take the shot, he turns flat on, and I miss. As I was surfacing from a dive, a school of kingfish followed me. The largest fish in the group broke off from the rest, circled around us, swimming right between me and my dive buddy. I hit the fish well, narrowly missing the brain. That which I am extremely grateful for. I think most of the fun in shooting a kingfish is in the fight as opposed to actually hunting them. While that is enjoyable, the fight that you get from a kingfish and the sheer physicality of it is extreme. When I shoot kingfish, I keep them on a very short leash. Most of the time I'll fight them just on the shooting line. Every meter that you give a kingfish is going to be much harder to get back. So if you can get a shot into them, get them to the surface and hold them there, tire them out quickly. I believe that's the best way to do things. If you don't have a good shot, this isn't going to work. But if you don't have a good shot on a kingfish, you don't take it. If you take anything but a really good holding shot, these fish will tear themselves to pieces and your gear. When you shoot a kingfish, ideally you should have a buddy. And not a buddy 100 meters away trying to snoop a snapper, but a buddy right there next to you. A buddy that can keep an eye on things. Fighting a kingfish is going to take all of your attention and all of your strength. It requires all of your focus. It is essential in a lot of circumstances to have someone there to watch out for boats, to watch out for sharks, to keep line management sweet. Without it, you're running a huge risk, especially in an area like this where there's so much current. I haven't looked up a single time during this fight to see where I'm drifting, because I have faith in my buddy to make sure that everything goes smoothly. It is common practice to put second shots into kingfish, but this isn't necessary if you have a good holder for the first one, unless you got a really big fish and you need to dispatch it. Often if you take a second shot and you don't kill the fish outright, you're going to have a huge mess to deal with. That fish is going to have 2 shafts hanging out of it, 2 sets of shooting lines that it's going to windmill, wrap around each other, and once you land the fish you're going to spend the next half hour sorting that out. So if you can get away with it, just use the single shaft in there, leave the buddy there with a spare gun ready to fend off any sharks. When you're pulling the fish into your body to icky it, you need to be aware of the shaft sticking out. Almost every time I kill a kingfish, I'm going to put it between my legs with my left hand in its gills. With my right hand, I'm going to get my knife, stab it into the brain, humanely dispatching the fish. As soon as I do this, I'm going to bleed it, every single time. It's a huge amount of meat, and you need to ensure that it remains in top quality. Thank you for your sacrifice to my mission. Your energy will not be lost, only transformed.
Fucking in beautiful condition. Fucking that Coey's a monster too. Yep. Got it.
Yeah, I'd say easily the biggest koi I've shot. Not a huge king, but
It's
just
just
fat
such
ass.
good nugget. Imagine one that's like fucking 120 long or something. That'd be just like, ugh.
Fuck yeah.
When you shoot a kingfish, take it upon yourself to utilize the whole fish. Don't just strip the fillets off and throw everything off the wharf. The head, the spine, the wings, the shoulder, that is some of the best meat on the fish. And that is today's sustainability message. Utilize the whole fish. Use the whole thing. Don't waste it. Kill less fish and utilize more of the fish.